to talk all things skin. And tonight we have with us dermatologist Dr. Cruz. Hi.
Okay, hi, welcome. LED lights, I just want to know all about them. Do they really work? The masks, you know.
Great question, because they're super popular, aren't they?
Yes.
It was really during COVID that LED masks absolutely took off. I think everyone saw them online, wanted to know what they were and couldn't go out anywhere, so they started ordering them online initially. And very quickly, there were manufacturers all over the world. So LED is nothing new. We know that the light-emitting diode emits specific bands of light, and these bands correspond to different colours. So as you can see with this one that Evie's putting on, some LEDs will produce just one colour, but others will have several different colours that they can emit, a red or a blue, green, and infrared as well.
These ones have got purple.
So the different coloured lights do different things?
Absolutely.
Okay,
so
what does red do?
Red is meant to be collagen stimulating and elastin stimulating, and it's slightly anti-inflammatory as well. I can't take you seriously.
I know,
like
it's
this.
okay, I'm not going to kill you, don't worry. Do they actually work?
Really good question. So there is actually research that proves that certain wavelengths or bands of light can have positive impacts to the skin. The thing is with the home devices, other way, Crawford. So the light's meant to face your skin.
Yeah, come on, come on.
So look, there is good research to show that certain wavelengths can work very well. But blue light probably has the most evidence behind it. The blue light is absorbed by a certain bacteria that lives in our hair follicles and our oil glands, known as Cutibacterium acnes, and that's the bacteria that can stimulate acne. So when we have an acne sufferer, blue light's meant to be quite helpful. Infrared light, which is deeply penetrating, can have wound healing properties and anti-inflammatory properties as well. So those chronic wounds and ulcers that don't heal, you can stick them under infrared, and this is the idea of infrared saunas as well, to really penetrate deeper, to get muscle healing and growth as well. But again, as a harmless thing that you can do at home, I wouldn't be, spending an absolute fortune on these masks. At the end of the day, they probably aren't powered quite as well to really have very long-lasting, meaningful results.
So it's not a case of the more money we spend on them, the better they are?
Not necessarily. Look, probably the more expensive devices have better power outage, or power output, sorry, and maybe a bit more specific.
And is there like an optimal amount of time you need to have them on? Is it sort of like 10 minutes does nothing, or...?
Yeah, usually it's somewhere between 15 minutes and 20 minutes is the ideal length of time. But again, it needs to be specific to the mask and the power it purports to
Oh, my God.
I'm game to try it.
Benjamin Button.
Look at your collagen.
Now, can we talk sun safety?
Yes.
It's very important, especially winter. You still have to really look after your skin.
Absolutely. Look, I think there's a bit of a misconception that when it's winter time, you don't need sunscreen. You only need to worry about skin checks in the summertime. I think everyone knows, especially in Australia, that summertime means beach and outdoors and activity, and they kind of forget about the skin checks and the self-surveillance that really should happen over winter as well. So I think this is a really good timely reminder.
That's a good word, self-surveillance. I like that.
That's what you call it.
I've learned a lot of words on this show.
So many words.
Well, when we think about all the messaging around, say, self-breast checks and all of that sort of thing, I think the skin being the largest organ in the body and it's very easy to monitor. It's something that we should be encouraging people to do at home.
How can you spot a dodgy mole present company excluded?
No comment.
Well, sorry, I was looking at Shane, not Mel. But can you show us like how to? I've got this mole on my arm, and I've had it all my life, but it's changed a bit by hardening.
Absolutely. So, look, I think this is a really good point. You mentioned changing or evolution, and the SunSmart website's a really good one. So that's sunsmart.com.au.
Is this hang on, we've got a graphic. I'll bring this one up, but this is the one
This is it.
Okay.
This is it. So I think there are about 6 signs that we look at. So change or evolution is actually really critical because it tells us that something's growing or changing, and that's what a skin cancer is, right? It's a growth that changes over time. But we are looking at things like the size, and an abnormally large mole might be something to be worried about. The colour and multiple colours within a mole. These are all sorts of things we need to look out for. Hardening or slightly when they pop out of the skin and become a little bit more protuberant isn't necessarily something to worry about. This can happen naturally. But the most important thing is to actually look at the sites that you don't think of. So that's under the soles of your feet. It's between the toes. It's getting someone to check your back and behind the ears. Now, you can't look at that yourself, so you do need a friend or a family member to really to help check that, you know, once or twice a year.
And even your private parts.
Absolutely,
Is that true? Like,
yeah.
Or am I'm not making that up.
No, you're not. You know, it's an awkward thing, and no one necessarily. Well, guys do it all the time, but women don't necessarily.
Men are always looking.
Men, I mean, and it's easier. Obviously, it's on show.
Yeah.
But women don't, and you know, we laugh about it, but it is something that we take seriously. What I generally recommend is that when you're checking in with your local general practitioner, doing perhaps a pap test or similar, you actually get them to have a look, because if you don't look, you don't know, and it can be too late.
Well, you were talking about friends, like getting them to help you out. I was thinking partners would be a big one for private areas that they might be looking at that you're not looking at. They may help save a life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things that can be a little bit awkward, but as I said, if you're not looking, you don't know.
Yeah.
Hairdressers, they pick up scalp melanomas all the time. Podiatrists are picking them up on the soles of the feet. So, yeah, it's a person you might not expect.
So you're saying partners, maybe when you're in sexy time, is that what you're saying? It was like,
that's exactly
oh, hang on,
what I'm saying.
I've just noticed something.
Because
is that what you're saying?
Or you could just put your LED mask on. How often, though, should we get professionally checked? Like, actually go to a dermatologist and say...
Really good question. And I think this comes down to we call it your risk stratification. So how much risk are you at? So someone who's grown up in Australia, had lots of sun over the course of their life, lots of outdoor sports, these are the people who need to be being checked at least annually, and that can be through a really good general practitioner or a skin cancer specialist or dermatologist. If you haven't really grown up in this country, you haven't seen a lot of sun, it may be that you don't need to be checked very frequently, maybe once every 4 or 5 years.
And what about tan lines? I'm seeing a lot of it these days, especially on social media.
Absolutely.
Are they in? Are they out?
Look, it's never been in, and these people online and on TikTok are trying to suggest that it's in vogue, and it's pretty horrendous.
Have a look at this. Have a look at this, Ryan. So this is on, I think, TikTok or Instagram, a reel, and it's a trend.
It's literally making sunburns sexy, which they're absolutely not. It's making tanning sexy, and it's really frightening because young people who have access to this think that it's
no one old is doing it.
No,
we know that.
It's terrible. Exactly. We know that UV damage accumulates over the course of your life. Doing this while you're young is really setting you up for failure when you get older. It's really worrying.
They are not cool.
No.
You are. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.